All right, my loves, welcome back to the Modern Phoenix podcast. I have Erin Claire Jones here for you. I finally brought you a human design expert. So I know so many people have so many questions. I have literally a list of questions, and everybody on this podcast has heard me talk about human design till the cows come home. I never shut up about it on my podcast, in my coaching containers, to my friends, to my children, to my husband. Like, I am a super fan. So I'm just like so honored to have you on the podcast, and thank you so much for your time and for this beautiful book. How do you choose for your work in the world?
Hmm.
Welcome, Erin.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
So, Erin Claire Jones is one of the world's leading experts in human design. Through her coaching, content, and digital products, she has empowered hundreds of thousands of people to overcome their biggest obstacles and find their flow at work, in love, and in life. We are both landing here. It's interesting. I'm like also really always happy to connect with a projector, like projector to projector, because you said you're arriving from school drop-offs and like the thick of motherhood. You have an 8.5-month-old,
Hmm.
2.5-year-old.
Hmm.
My community knows I have three kids. The youngest is 5, but I have been in the thick of it as well. And I also just never feel like I left the thick of it. But projector to projector, I kind of want to ask you, how are you really?
I think that I feel good. I think having a young baby and launching a book all at once was a lot. I'm not sure if I would do that again, but honestly, that's how my life happens. It feels like everything always happens all at once. So, I think that's what I've chosen in many ways, but I feel very happy to be on the other side of the book. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I have been going really hard for quite a while now
Mm-hmm.
and putting myself out there a lot with the book launch and all the things. So I feel like, I live in the Hudson Valley. The weather is getting really beautiful. Like I feel like my youngest toddler is about to stop her Montessori program for the summer. Like it feels like there's more and more space opening up. And so
Mm-hmm.
I do feel really hopeful and excited, but I feel like I'm still landing from all that I've been
Yeah.
through. It's been a wild year. I've been going hard. I'm
That is
tired. Yeah.
That is a wild that is a wild year. Because
Yeah.
also I will tell mothers like give it 2 years before you feel like yourself again, like really like yourself again, like you get some of your energy and your life back and they're a little bit more stable. So to have a baby, for you to be 8.5 months in the portal and then a book that's only wait, did you say 3 weeks or
Three
three
weeks.
months? Oh my gosh.
3 weeks.
I was like 3 months. Oh my gosh, 3 weeks old. Like you're like in it. In it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is also funny, I stopped breastfeeding when I got pregnant because honestly, my toddler just
Mm.
stopped one morning. She was like, I'm
Mm.
done.
Yeah.
But it is wild. When I look back, I'm like, wow, I haven't been not pregnant or not breastfeeding since February 2022. And so there's
Wow.
also like, who am I outside of
Yeah.
nourishing children in this way? And people go for so much longer than that. But it's such an amazing time. It's like the most tender time of my life. And
Hmm.
also I'm like, is there vitality available someday
Yes,
on the other side of this?
there is. There, I want to tell you as a projector mom, like you get more and more vitality back and also the energy, and I
Yeah.
think that's kind of what I wanted to start with is the energy of the thing because I think it's so interesting. Human design found me, I don't know, maybe like 6-ish years ago. Like I had heard whispers of it. But what really hooked me into human design was this idea of working with your energy. Like you have
Yeah.
a unique blueprint for how you are designed to operate energetically. And I always felt that I had less vitality and less energy than others, even though I was highly conditioned to be so extroverted and energetic and go, go, go all the time. And so I had a lot of burnout, a lot of confusion about is it even possible? Like, is vitality available to me? And honestly, having my chart read and learning that I was a 5/1 splenic projector, it changed everything because it gave me this huge permission slip and this map, which is what I think you do in this book as well. Like all of your work is really like a map and a tool guide, a toolbox. But it gave me this map of like, okay, nobody is expecting you to stop building your business or raising your babies. Like that is who you are. It's clearly something that you came here to do. It really lights you up. But like I had to find a way to work in rhythm with my
Mm,
energy. Yeah. So what do you hear people say that a lot, or do you feel like I'm even explaining it right? Because something that I would love for you to do today, if it feels aligned for you, is to, I think we have people listening who really run the spectrum, run the gamut, I guess is the right terminology, the phrase, run the gamut of understanding and resonance with human design. And I got some questions from my audience, and there's clearly people who have had their charts read, who are like super into it. And then there's people who have just heard me jibber jabber about it so much, and
hmm
they're like, I just want to resonate with this, but I don't yet. So my thought was first to hear your reflection about what I just said, like
hmm
energy, like how does that begin to make a map for a person?
hmm
And like as a beginning, how to introduce everybody to just what it is and the five types.
Okay, beautiful. I think that you described it really beautifully. I think human design really helps us know how our energy moves, in
Mm,
that, I think we often look at how others have done things and feel like, oh, we should have the same level of energy. We should build a business like them. We should parent like them. And I think human design reminds us that we're all wired so differently. And human design is not meant to be a thing that tells us what we can or cannot do. It's not meant to be like, oh, you can't be a mom or you can't run a business because you're a projector. It just lets us know how you do that thing best. And
yeah.
so I think it helps us know, like, how can we actually structure our days in a way that is sustainable, in a way that doesn't burn us out? How can we find our way into the next opportunity in a way that like feels really like in flow and it feels like it's the right opportunity and not a way in which it feels like we're forcing and kind of like pushing so hard against something that's not even working? How can we know what's right for us easily when it comes? So in so many ways, I think it helps us kind of move with who we are and not against it. And,
Mm.
honestly, whatever our design, I think a lot of people come to me living the opposite of their design.
Yes.
They could be like, and I'll talk about the types in a moment, but they could be like a projector trying so hard to be like a consistent doer, or manifesting
Mhm.
generator trying to have one passion. Like, I just think we often don't feel a whole lot of permission to be who we are. And I think human
Mhm.
design tends to be just a massive permission slip to be like, you're
Mm.
allowed to show up to every part of your life in a way that feels more authentic. And like, not only will it feel better, but it probably will be like way more successful than anything you've tried before. I
Mm.
think for those that are totally new to human design, it is a system based on your time, date, and place of birth that really reveals your energetic blueprint and how you're wired to move through the world, whether it comes to decision making, structuring your days, like I said, finding opportunities, leveraging your strengths, moving through challenges that arise more consistently, and the list goes on. I will
Mhm.
say it is as mystical as it is practical. So you might feel like birth information, whoa, and then you might find the information itself can actually be quite mechanical. Like, you're meant to
Mhm.
make decisions this way. You do well being asked questions this way. Socially, this might work for you. So I love the practicality of it personally. And I will say for those who haven't felt a resonance with it, I never try to convince people of anything. I always say what matters
Mhm.
most to me is not whether it's true, but whether it's useful. And so I would just kind of listen through that lens. Like, does it feel useful? And if it doesn't, throw it away. And it
Mhm.
might be a thing that you're like, oh gosh, this doesn't resonate. And like a year later, you're like, ah, I see what was
Yes.
happening here. So just like
Yes.
let the seed be planted and do what you do and come back when and if you feel inspired. So if you guys want to look up your human design to follow along, you can look it up at humandesignblueprint.com. You'll need your time, date, and place of birth. If you don't know your exact time, you can use the closest approximate you know. And if you're like, I just want to listen in and see what I might be, you can also just do that. There's no wrong way to do this. The five types in human design are manifesting generators, projectors, reflectors, and manifestors. Type is such an integral piece of the chart, and yet it is just the first piece. So know
Mhm.
that you might be married to a fellow manifesting generator, and your designs might be so different in every other way.
Mhm.
Before I get into the types, do you know your kiddos' designs?
Yes. My husband is a generator. My oldest is a splenic manifester.
Manifester.
My second is an emotional projector. And my third is an emotional manifester.
Wow, two manifestor kiddos. Woo!
Right? Right?
Okay.
I've been
Um,
reading up a lot about
I know.
manifestors. And my husband is the only generator, bless him, in the
Yeah.
house. So it's
Thank goodness for generator partners. Let's dive into it. I asked because I think it might be useful to get some of your reflections as we go. So let's start with manifesting generators and generators. These two types make up the majority of the population. This in no way means they're not unique. Again, it's just like this is the first kind of category, and then it dives in. breaks apart into different categories from there. But manifesting generators and generators are the doers. These are people that have so much boundless energy to make things happen when they feel genuinely excited by what they're doing. When they're excited by what they're doing, their energy is through the roof and they can make things happen so powerfully. I would say a big lesson for both of these types is around boundaries because they
Mhm.
have so much capacity. They might find that they end up caring a lot at home, at work, because they are so capable. And a big
Mhm.
lesson for them is knowing that, just because they can do something doesn't mean they should.
That's
And
what I
really,
underlined in the book and started
yeah,
twice.
sorry. I know. It's like there can be this. Do you see that in your husband?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And also for me, be like, I
Yes.
know if I give him this, he'll go. He'll like
Yeah.
go and go and go and go and go. And
Yes.
so, yeah, I've been saying that. I mean, I actually literally said it yesterday to a client who's a reflector even. I was like, I just
Yeah.
don't know that just because you're good at it doesn't mean you should like exploit it constantly.
100%, and it's really around just becoming really discerning about with their energy and kind of really checking in with their gut to see what they genuinely feel available for. And as
Hmm.
partners to generators, asking like, do you really feel excited to do this thing? Do you really have the energy
Mm.
for it?
Hmm.
I would say between the two, the difference is that manifesting generators tend to be very multi-passionate. These are
Hmm.
people that tend to kind of move in between many passions at once. They're so fast. They often kind of make things happen quicker than anyone else. And
Hmm.
then generators are really here for mastery. They really kind of dive deep into something and they can do many things, but it might be like today I will dive deep into this and tomorrow into
Mm.
this. The
Hmm.
example I use in the book of a generator is LeBron James. So I feel like is so
Oh yeah.
beautifully,
Yeah.
demonstrates that energy of kind of this like steady mastery, this like beautiful, infectious passion.
Hmm.
But I always say kind of nothing beats being around a lit up generator. When they're lit up, like I
Hmm.
said, it really lights up the room.
They're also consistent, right? They have like that
Yes,
consistent,
more reliable. Yes.
reliable energy, which I think is really interesting to
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, it's like it's a very steady energy. Like generators and
Hmm.
manifesting generators kind of wake up every day with like energy to expend. It doesn't mean you're going to
Yes.
wake up like in an ideal world, you'll wake up energized, but you might be doing
Yeah.
work you don't enjoy or, burnt
Yeah.
out in many different ways. So there can be seasons to this, but in an ideal world, you kind of wake up and expend your energy throughout the day in ways that feel satisfying and you drop
Hmm.
into bed delightfully spent. You're like, I left
Hmm.
it all in the field. Like that's kind of the most satisfying path for generators and manifesting generators. And like to rest before they've expended their energy well often doesn't feel great. Like expending
Hmm.
their energy well is the pathway often to satisfying rest.
Hmm. It just hits the nail on the head so much for my husband. It's bizarro. It's not bizarro. It's great. It's great. So I appreciate
Yeah.
that. And then there's
Oh,
one thing
yeah.
also about isn't there something about the way that you ask questions of a generator? It's like, is
Yeah,
it yes or no questions?
it
Is that
is.
it? Okay.
So generators and manifesting generators are very gut-driven people. So
Okay.
they often will kind of have a gut visceral response to something that signals whether or not they're available for something.
Hmm.
And the best way to help them access their gut response is to ask them very specific yes, no questions. And so
Hmm.
that can be as small as like, do you want to go out for dinner or cook at home? Like, do you want to eat
Mm.
pasta or salmon?
It's like
Or it
talking
could
to a toddler.
go to 100%, or it could be kind of larger scale, like, does this job feel right for you? Like, do you have the energy for it? Does it the timing feel right to pursue it? It doesn't
Hmm.
mean that like you can't ask open-ended questions in general. These people like are often like to talk about their passions and what they're excited
Hmm.
about. But it's more when like they're trying to decide whether or not they have the energy for something or what kind of feels right as a decision that posing questions in that way kind of speaks to what they really feel.
Which I think is such a like everything that you've already shared is already so applicable. It's just insane
Yeah.
how tangible and applicable it is to your life. And I'm just thinking about like the different ways it's tricky for me as a coach and a projector. Like I lean towards open-ended questions. Lean towards like deep curiosity and I notice in my husband, especially if he's kind of like winding down at the end of his like he's almost delightfully spent. And what I used to do a lot is I'd be like, now let's have a deep conversation, you know? Now I'm going to ask you all these open-ended questions and like the joke is like, let's talk about our hopes and dreams. And he is like, I don't got it. I don't have it in the tank. And I'm not saying that he isn't capable of like answering an open-ended question, but I do
Of course.
notice based on his energy level, like where he is in his cycle of his day, and also his level of overwhelm, sometimes it just really overwhelms him if I ask him a
Yeah.
question with like too many options. So I just think it's so cool to think about that.
Yeah, and I think often, and it depends on other parts of their design, but often those open-ended questions can kind of get them into like the realm of like endless possibility. And so like
Mm-hmm.
you're asking them a thing they actually know, but the way that you
Mm.
ask it just doesn't bring it out of them. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think often so many generators and manifesting generators have felt indecisive because they're like, I
Yes.
don't have an answer. And it's like, it's not that you don't have an answer, but the way that you're being asked is not pulling it out of you.
Yeah. It's like, again, it's like the noise versus the knowing,
Yes.
which is something I talk about a lot, and like how to, declutter all the noise and tap into your unique way of knowing. So,
Yes. And specific yes, no questions are the path for these types.
the path. Okay.
Because, and the last piece I'll share is I often will sit with somebody like a generator who will like kind of talk around a potential decision for like 10 minutes
Yeah.
and they feel like so unclear. And then I'll ask them like, do you want to do it? And they're like, no. So it's like they all already knew. It was just again, they're
Yeah.
just like be like, oh, I actually already have the answer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So okay, projectors, you, me, your middle, you said?
My
Oh,
middle
your
and
middle.
Taylor Swift, right?
And Taylor Swift.
Don't forget
So
her. Come
that's
on.
the crew. So projectors are very natural leaders, teachers, guides, coaches. They are so good at making others feel recognized and seen. So good at asking the right questions. You kind of bring in the depth that you talked about with your husband. They often love systems like human design or honestly anything that helps them better understand people because they already understand people very deeply. So anything that enhances that is tends to be appealing. I think a big, big lesson for projectors is around learning to disentangle their worth from how hard they work and how much they do.
Mhm.
The gift of projectors is really not in how hard they work, it's really in their perspective and how they see. So really, in an ideal world, they're valued for that, whether that's as a coach or as a human design teacher or as whatever, a parent. But it's really not about just like this constant doing. And I think, like you said, around building a business, like learning how to build it in a way that your energy moved. I think that projectors do well with a lot of space and rest and pause. And it will look different in different seasons of life. I just came out of
Mhm.
and still in a very full season. So rest does not look as spacious and as ample as it once was, but I'll
Mhm.
still take it wherever and however I can get it. And
Mhm.
part of being a projector is really paying attention to who deeply sees you and recognizes you without you having to try. Because
Mhm.
where we feel kind of very genuinely recognized and invited is where we're meant to put our energy. And so, really kind of letting that invitation guide our energy and let us know who's ready for us and when.
I mean, just every time I hear it, I'm like, wow, it's like you just summed me up in a soundbite. I just feel so, I feel so seen, Erin.
I
It
know.
honestly, hearing you say that reminds me of like who I was before I found human design and how much
Mm,
I was like seeking in all the wrong places,
yeah,
seeking being seen, seeking validation, seeking even just belonging and proving and forcing myself to be something that I could be. I could do it, you know? And
of
this is the
course.
thing about the conditioning that is like a huge piece, I think, of like aligning with your human design is like, yeah, it worked in a certain way, but at what cost of how I was
Totally.
feeling and the trust. Like, if I told you about, I'm gonna tell you about the day I just had. Like literally, my husband is a marine biologist, so he travels on a boat. He goes out to sea, he calls it, for 5 to 10 days at a time for 6 months out of the year, and then I'm here. I'm here doing the thing, and he's gone right now, and he's gonna be gone like basically for a couple months now, and this is when I really am like, can I be in alignment with my energy and my human design and still be the mom I want to be and still show up for my business and do all the things. However, it is so cool when I think about the last 24 hours of my life because I woke up at 4:30 in the morning for another reason and I couldn't go back to sleep. So then I was like, okay, now I'm awake. And this isn't my normal. Like this isn't like this normally doesn't happen to me, but I was like, I can't go back to sleep. I know I'm gonna be tired, but it is what it is. So I was doing a couple things, got my kids up at 6:30, got them to camp by 7:40 or whatever, came home at 8 and I have a 5-year-old who was still home and I was like I felt like my brain needed to be washed. I was like I can't think. And I was like I had this whole plan to do all this stuff this morning and my sister's in town with her little kids and she's going to come over for breakfast and like the whole thing, the whole plan. It's always like the plans that always go out the window and I was like nope. I got to lay down. I got to sleep until like my brain feels totally washed. And I slept from 8 to 10 a.m. I just like
Mm,
put my son in front of the TV and I just was like, I have to sleep because there's nothing that I could create or be, or like there's no family time that's gonna, benefit from me not sleeping. And then I woke up at 10 and then my sister walked in the door. And of course, now the whole plan is like totally upside down. And I'm like, hey, I'm gonna bake some muffins. Let's make some coffee. And I just like had a lovely time and I was just doing the mom thing. And I just totally
hmm.
pivoted all my plans and I just was following my energy because I could feel like, okay, I just woke up and now there's this family moment happening and none of it was like a should. It
Yeah.
just was like, wouldn't it be nice if now I just expanded into this moment and I wasn't doing nothing? Like, there's like five kids in the house and there's family and there's dishes and there's baking and there's cooking and there's meals and there's crying and like the whole thing, right? So I was like actively showing up for that, but I was able to do it in a way where I wasn't worrying about working
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
wasn't feeling bad that I had slept and I wasn't worrying about telling my sister, hey, like by 12, I'm gonna need to shift gears and like you should go and then I'm gonna change into my work hat and just thinking about the whole way that the whole day went so far. And then, it's like 12 o'clock and then I put on my business hat and then I'm prepping for this interview with you. And it's just like this trust and permission that seamlessly is threaded through my days.
Mm,
That doesn't mean that I'm doing less or more. It just
yeah.
means that I'm like always pivoting to follow the energy when it's available because I trust so much like how much good will come out of that, like how many juicy moments and like
Hmm.
better work and better mothering and better
Yeah.
family time. And yeah, I guess what does that feel? Am I doing it right?
Well, you only know that, but yes, I think what I love about how you're sharing is like it just feels like you're honoring where you are and what you have the energy for. And like,
Yeah.
we obviously can't always do that as projectors. You might have like a big talk that you've booked and you have to show up, but like you do what you can. But like I think that the energy is not always on. And I think that the wisdom of that story also I hear is that like you're like, I had all these things that I wanted to create but trying to create them in a place where like my brain feels unwashed or whatever, like I feel
Hmm.
exhausted, like it's just not going to generate my best work. And like I don't know
Yeah.
if I need to force it. And so like
Hmm.
I think with projectors, we often can be like, oh, we've got to keep going because like doing
Hmm.
more is better and doing more will lead to success. But when we're creating from that place of a lack of resource, like we just aren't going to create our best things. And also becomes harder to like tap into our gifts. Like it's just like projectors
Yeah.
can become just so overzealous, trying to kind of do all the things all the time. So I think that you're absolutely doing it right and that you're like, I don't have the energy for this. And I'm not
Hmm.
going to force it because the thing is, I will have the energy for it. And when I like
Yes.
wait until that moment, I'm going to make it happen so quickly. It's going to be far better quality. Like that's worth waiting for. So I
Yes.
think in an ideal world, and again, this is not going to be available for everyone, especially immediately, but like really creating enough spaciousness in your life where you can listen to where you are, because I think often we can ignore those nudges that our body is
Hmm.
giving us and be like,
Hmm.
let's just like keep going. I can like muscle through it. And it's like, but do you have to?
And what that makes me think about is like some projectors that I know in my life who are like, well, I can't do that. Like my job or the season of parenting I'm in, and I always tell friends and clients the same thing where I'm like, if you are just considering the idea that you could design your life around your energy, there's going to be a lot of like icky parts where you have to reverse engineer or you have to undo maybe some things that aren't working and then wait, plant those seeds and wait for them to grow. And I think what I'm realizing about the season of life that I'm in now is I planted so many seeds when my kids were babies, like so many seeds that I was just like, this is the dream. This is the vision. This is what I want. This is what I'm showing up for. This is how I'm showing up for it. This is how I'm structuring my days and learning from so many fuck ups as a mom. Like, that just doesn't work for me. It's not going to yield good results. Or like, oh, I'm not going to put them in camp because I'm just going to be with them every day and just casually work from home and that'll just be fine. And then realizing after a full summer of like, no, that actually doesn't doesn't right. And so just also for anybody who feels discouraged by that, letting them know, I think unlearning it is
Yeah,
part of realigning to it, and that still counts and it's still worth it. And maybe you have to wait a little bit longer, but it's better than just keep going like, in a way that's
totally.
not aligned, that's misaligned.
Yeah. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think we can like sometimes get away with these things for a while, and then we kind of reach a point where like, oh, we just can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And I think I know for me, like becoming a mother, I think has like brought me face to face with my projectorness more than any other moment in my
Oh
life,
my God. Yes.
where it's just like, oh, wow, my energy is for sure not unlimited. And like, wow, I desperately need help. and like
Yeah.
alone time is so needed, even if it's for 5 minutes on the bathroom
Mm-hmm.
floor, So I think
Mm-hmm.
discovering that, discovering kind of what really works for you. But I think what's also important, and what I'm hearing you say, is that like it feels like you're moving from a place of like authenticity and not what you think you should do. You're not
Mm-hmm.
like from like, I should be doing all this stuff. It's like, but that's not where I'm at right now. So again, that's
Mm-hmm.
not always feasible, but being as connected to that as you can.
Yeah. And I trust that I'm like building towards something that will be meaningful and aligned and right for me and right for the world, and right for my
Yes.
kids and right for, it's like the
Yes.
trust of that and the potency. Just popping into this awesome interview with the amazing Erin Claire Jones to let you know that if you are listening to her talk about human design and you are like, I want to go deeper into my own design, I want to apply this to my life, my patterns, my relationships, please know that as part of my one-on-one private coaching packages, I include 2 one-on-one custom human design readings with my local expert, Erin Matthews. She is a woman who's been in my community for years and a former client. And this is important because this is part of how I guide you once you are working with me. As soon as I'm working with somebody, I immediately have to know, what is your human design? What's your authority? What's everybody in your family? And I will coach people that way. I tend to call in a lot of projectors, for example. And as a projector, I coach projectors very specifically. And I have 2 manifestors in my family, as you have heard. I've got a generator. So I am not an expert. Obviously, Erin is the expert, and go to her site for all of the amazing resources and tools in her book. But if you are like, I want to dabble in this and apply it to my personal growth transformation, I just want to make sure that you knew that it is included in my private mentorship coaching packages. And it is part of how we work towards your intentions, your transformations, your goals, your relationships. It's all woven into my work because I am obsessed with it. Okay, I'm so grateful for Erin's wisdom. Let's get back to it. Somebody asked a question about like, what did she write? Hold on, let me. Discerning rest periods. That's just she wrote. Discerning rest periods. Like that's her question. And it just makes me think about like our culture's obsession with energy, and I know it's
Hmm.
so much
Hmm.
whatever, it's so much in indoctrination and internalized capitalism and just this idea that we literally don't even see how we've been brainwashed to believe that we're more machines than humans or more machines than nature, at least.
Yeah.
But energy is so glorified. Like I can remember, especially 5 years ago, like, oh, I really remember this time in my life. And 7 years ago, like when I was exactly where you are,
Hmm.
feeling like such grief and despair that like I would never get that energy back. And then
Hmm.
I wouldn't belong and I wouldn't matter and I wouldn't be relevant and I wouldn't be successful because like literally I just felt like the main thing you need to be all those things is energy versus what I now trust and believe is like authenticity,
Hmm.
right? Like alignment, discerning rest periods, and then intentional sprint periods, like what you're doing right now. It's like,
Hmm.
I know that when it's a sprint, I can do it, but I've been
Totally.
training for this and planting these seeds or whatever, tilling the soil or whatever
Yeah.
the metaphor is for a while now. Like, I know I can do it, but also the end result isn't just like my energy, it's my
Hmm.
authenticity, like the
Hmm.
potency of the energy, not just like the constant 24/7 doing. Can you speak
Yeah.
to that for?
Yeah, I mean, I think that like I guess when I specifically with projectors, like I think it's a big lesson, like more is not better. And that's honestly, I think
Yeah.
true for all of us.
Hmm.
But I think that like I guess what I have found that like the quality of my energy and the quality of my work when I am overdoing and filling every moment is not great.
Yeah. Same.
And like, and it feels very hard to actually tap into my gifts really at all
Hmm.
when I'm not rested in that way. And so I guess I found that when I really kind of honor my energy and take the rest when I need it and time alone when I need it, like I feel so much more connected to my gifts. And I also feel so much more effective and inspired and insightful in the moments that I
Hmm.
am working and sharing. And I think kind of the question around discernment is I think part of being a projector is really staying connected to like what you have the energy for. And that might look like creating kind of checkpoints throughout the day where you just
Hmm.
give yourself a moment to step back and ask, like, do I have the energy to keep going? And the
Hmm.
answer might be like 100% yes, like go, 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 go,
Hmm.
go. And then there might be moments where it's like, I really don't, and like
Yeah.
it's time to step back. And again, that's going to look different for every single type. Like, being discerning as a generator is not going to be necessarily around like, okay, do I need rest now or not? But more like do I really have the energy for this commitment, for this task? Because like when the energy's there, these people are the most powerful, but they might
Mm-hmm.
find themselves often saying yes out of obligation or desire to please. And so
Mm-hmm.
really kind of trusting that like when they say yes because they feel full-hearted and feel it in their gut, like nobody could stop them and it's worth waiting for that. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that it does, I think more generally across type help us become more discerning about where to put our energy and when.
Something that's making me think about too is like sometimes, and I agree, this could be true of any design, but we just think like, yeah, I've got the energy for it now. And then we realize later, like, oh, I overdid it.
Hmm.
And for me, I don't know, this is like how I learn. I'm just like a sloppy learner. I need to like do it wrong a lot of times to really get the message. Like that
Yeah.
didn't feel good. That is the moment.
Yeah.
Like you need to go backwards in the moment and realize that moment when you like, you know, answered 20 text messages for 30 minutes, even though you could have just like gone for a walk. Like that was the moment that you had
Mm,
to not do it, even though you felt like you kind of had this like coffee high in the moment. And I just think for all of us, letting that period of trying,
yeah.
like, let me try to do more and then notice how does it feel? And then let me try and
Hmm.
do less and then notice how does it feel as like part of the process of aligning with your energy because it's energy we're talking about here, right? Like it's so
Hmm.
cool. Like you can notice and I think I have been so much more discerning in the last 6 months even. I'm like, wow, with my work and my personal life and my like if I have text messages and Marco Polos and Voxer messages from clients, I can check in and be like, I have energy in this moment, but it's just enough to get me through bedtime. Like
Yeah, totally.
literally, it's just enough to get me through bedtime. If I do this now, I'll leave it all on the floor and it's 3 p.m.
Hmm.
As you know, I have a lot more to do. So it has been a beautiful arc of the learning is like
Hmm.
trying it, noticing how it
Yes,
feels and
totally.
trusting that energetic arc and then doing it again and again and like perfecting that energetic arc.
Yeah, and I think, I so often remind people, whatever their design, of the value of just experimentation, where it's
Yes.
like this is a thing to experiment with and see if it works. Like if you build breaks into your day, or if you don't book things back to back, or if you like only say yes to this many commitments, like what happens? Like give yourself a chance. And like
Right.
I feel like as a projector, I am still so tempted and so susceptible to overworking and overdoing. And yet my experience has been the more I allow rest into my life, the better everything is and the more
Mm.
opportunities come my way. And so like
Mhm.
it is a thing that just is worth experimenting to kind of find what rhythm actually works for you.
Yeah. So good. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Manifestors.
Okay.
Of
Sorry. We can
course.
move
No,
on.
my God, you're good. So manifestors, you've got two, your youngest and your oldest.
Yeah. I'm learning on the fly here.
Oh my gosh, so many manifestor kiddos these days. So manifestors are very innovative, disruptive. I don't mean like disruptive in class, but just like
Mhm.
they're really here to kind of tread their own path and do things
Yeah.
their own way. Like they are not really here to be guided or told what to do, which is not always the easiest in kids.
Yeah.
They
Hmm.
really feel more comfortable just like setting the terms of how they do things and when.
Hmm.
So it is important, I think, as a mother. I have my 8-month-old as a manifestor of like, how can I set boundaries that make them feel as free as they can, where they can
Yeah.
still lead, but also like within, in a way that
Mhm.
actually feels safe as well. Manifestors love freedom and to do what
Yeah.
they want, when they want, how they want. They are so good at kickstarting new ideas, but not always at sustaining all the things they've begun. And also their energy, like projectors, but a bit different, is very bursty where it's like they can be
Hmm.
so on fire, followed by like a week or an hour or days where they have to kind of pull back and rest. And so it's also important for them to not expect consistent momentum from themselves,
Hmm.
because their energy just operates more in kind of these like fits of inspiration followed by periods of rest. So I think as a parent, also really kind of checking in on what they have the energy for and also modeling that yourself of like, I'm not always available. Like I need moments to myself because that often will give
Hmm.
them permission too. And manifestors are actually the only type that are here to make the first move. Like they're really not here to wait for anything to come to them. Like it's more like what urge kind of bubbles up within them, and they're here to just like follow that urge in all the ways. Do you observe any of that?
Oh, so much of it. My oldest, the inconsistent energy is wild to me. Like, and I'm trying so hard to help her like notice it and honor it and not make it bad or wrong, while also requiring that sometimes she work within some boundaries of like, okay, you've been reading in the downstairs room for like 12 hours and I love that for you. I really do. But like now we're gonna have dinner as a family and like your grandpa's here and like you're gonna join the family, you're gonna do that for a little bit. Like noticing that urge for freedom, it
Hmm.
could go far for her.
Yeah.
And I am so into it. I'm like, yes, freedom. You know, I want her to like go ride her bike and disappear for the day and like never have a phone until she's like 25. So I love it. But I also not struggle, but like find where the rubber meets the road is where I'm also trying to teach her how to like be part of a family or like be
Yep.
part of her friend group in a way that is authentic to her. But I do want to tell you, so she's in the sixth grade. Well, she's going to be in the seventh grade now. But so they switch from like their elementary school to their middle school. And sixth grade is like the new, middle school. It's like a big deal when you're in it as a mom. You're just like, oh my God, they're like, graduating. And there is this middle school here. It's a middle school and high school. It's an art school. And it's audition only. And, it's very selective. It feels like a big deal, but it also is just like an awesome school. And
Yeah.
I was raised by a stage mom, let's call her. And so I am a very, very artsy person who also had no connection to the joy of the arts
Mm.
until I was like, I don't know, 38. Like I literally have been like reclaiming my joy and love of the arts for myself as an adult. So I haven't pushed a lot of that on my kids. I really try to see, especially for my manifestors, like you lead me, right? Especially my oldest. And she had no arts training and she just looks at me one day and she's like, I want to go to School of the Arts. And I was like, okay. And she's like, I really think I want to go there. I really feel like I want to go there. And I had this moment of like, this might be her first splenic moment. Like it
Wow.
felt like a moment. And I was just like,
Hmm.
okay, she's led me, she's had the hit. Let's go. So then I was like, some parents that I meet, they've been like training their kids since kindergarten to like prepare for the school. But I was like, you're a manifester. You're meant to
Yeah.
skip steps. You're meant to jump right in. So let's go. We open up the application. She was going to do writing. And I look at this application and I was like, I just feel like maybe this isn't the vibe. Like, I really think people are working on these essays for like 5 years, and I don't think we've got it in us. But how about theater? Like, I think you have some raw talent for theater. Long story short, we do this audition. We like have been preparing this monologue, and then it just keeps getting worse in her rehearsals. And one day she was like, Mom, can I just like do it how I want to do it? And I was like, yes, please. She does it. I'm laughing. I'm crying. And I was like, just do that. I don't know why I forgot that you are here to lead yourself. She went in,
Wow.
she got into the school. It's been such a beautiful experience for the whole family and for her. And it's really like the sixth grade is when I really have started like teaching her and like parenting her with her manifestor design
That's so
and
cool.
seeing her blossom. Like, she just started dance in the middle of the year. Most people start dance when they're like 5. And I was like, don't forget, like, you're supposed to skip steps. Like, you're going to be fine. I'm not worried about it. Like, and I'm watching her do it and thrive and become obsessed with a thing and then just do the thing. And it's so cool. It is so cool. It's so cool.
Oh my God, that's amazing to hear. And I think that like, it's so useful, I think, to know our kids' designs, not because we're gonna be like, okay, like how can I ask you questions this way? And like it's more just like how can I use this as a lens to observe your behavior and like remind myself in these moments of like, oh, she just like said she wanted to go to school. Like it's very clear that like that's a very intuitive,
Yes.
clear knowing. Like I'm just gonna honor
Mhm.
that, or like
Yes.
I'm really trying to like overly guide her in this audition process when like she's probably gonna do better when she does it her way. So
Hmm.
there are just like so many small ways that I think it helps us look at people. Like I had an experience with my 8-month-old that like at 2 months she started rolling over and like breaking
Mm.
out of her swaddle and would only sleep on her belly. And like the internet's very much like, no belly sleeping that
Oh,
early. And I
no.
was like trying to flip her over, and I called my pediatrician. I was like, what do I do? I can't flip her over. She's like keeps flipping back and she's out of her swaddle. And like this is really early to be rolling over. And she was like, you let her be. And I was
Yeah.
like,
What an
anyway,
awesome pediatrician. That like
yeah.
that they never say that.
Oh, yeah. She's just like, well, she's
Strap
just
her
like,
down on her back.
she
That's
was just like, what do you expect me to say? Like, you literally can't do anything. She knows what she wants. She's doing what she wants. And you just have to make it safe for her to do that by taking the swaddle off. And so, like, it was just such a reminder for me where I was like, she's a manifester. She's got to do it
yeah.
her way. And like, she's ready to
Hmm.
move. She's strong. She's powerful. Like, I've got to let her do her thing. So, it's in a moment like that, it's not like it's just helpful as a lens to be like, oh, this is
Mhm.
potentially why it's happening. How can I support them through this?
Yeah, how can I support them through this? Yeah, so beautiful.
Okay, we've got our last
Oh
type, the
my gosh.
reflectors.
Okay, good. Reflectors. Okay.
So reflectors are, think of them as like our mirrors, our evaluators. They just see, sense, and feel things that so many people miss. And they often kind of can mirror back the quality of a space or a community and kind of let us know how it's all going. So they're just like invaluable in their perspective and how they see things. It is so important for them to be quite ruthless about where they spend time and who they spend it with because they feel it so deeply. So like being in cities and towns they enjoy and making sure their school feels good or their office or whatever it
Mm.
is, their bedroom, if you have a reflector child. And they're also very fluid people. They might find that they're here to express their purpose in many ways over the course of their life, maybe their look in many ways over the course of high school. Like they're just not really here to box themselves into one form of expression. So, really allowing kind of their natural fluidity and vastness and not boxing themselves in.
Mm, awesome. Yeah, I was working with a reflector yesterday, like I mentioned, and then I was like, "Well, you should buy this book." And then I went to your book and I started like underlining all this stuff because it's the one type that I honestly know nothing about because I don't have any
Yeah,
reflectors in my life. I think what's so helpful about this book is how it's so like broken down into like type and how to make decisions and how to do this at how to be you at work, how to be you in relationships, how to support the person that is this person in a relationship. Like it's so tangible. So I guess I just wanted, I don't know, I just wanted to tell you that because the
thanks for saying
reflector
that.
piece is
Yeah.
tricky. It feels tricky, and I think maybe where I can go with that is just to me, the difference between human design and astrology, somebody mentioned like, what do I do if I don't resonate with my design? It feels like astrology and like I don't know how to apply it to my work or my life or my decisions. And it's like so overwhelming. And I am not a person that likes very complicated things. Like I know you said I like a system to master as a projector, and maybe I just am partial to human design, but I find human design to be so much more straightforward than
Totally.
astrology. And I'm into astrology too. Like I'm into all of it, obviously. And also I just think it's so cool how your book makes it so applicable and practical. That was your intention, of course, right?
Yeah, the intention was just to make this information very usable. I think that my
Hmm.
experience while working with people is that most people don't want to learn human design. They want to know what they need to know about their design to actually
Yes.
transform their life. And like
Yes.
I have many, I have many students. I've been teaching human design for years. Like I have all the things if you want to learn all the details about the chart, but that's not what most people want. And, to date, there hasn't really been a book that's been an exploration of the practical application. It's been more like, here's a textbook, which people like me, I'm like,
Hmm.
I love. Give me all the
Yeah,
textbooks.
same.
And yet, there's just a bigger human design can impact more people beyond that. And
Hmm.
I think I wanted to make it just very much a thing that you can pick up and be like, I'm struggling with this decision. Where do I go next? Let
Hmm.
me open up the book and be reminded exactly what to do. Or I'm feeling out
Hmm.
of alignment in my career. Let me open up to the chapter on projectors and career and see what's happening. Or like, I'm
Hmm.
struggling in my connect with my partner or kid. Let me open up and read about them. So I really wanted it to be a resource manual that people could return to over and over again to just remember who they are and how they operate best. So that was entirely the goal. And also it's been really cool because there are people that are, reading it that have never been exposed to human design before and they're just open to like a new way of doing things and want to understand how they make decisions. And so like it's accessible to them too. So that
Yeah.
was the goal and it's been fun to see it come to life.
Yeah. Could you wrap it up by sharing about intuition? Because that's one thing that we haven't spoken about. And I think it's actually like the second most important thing that brought me to human design. For somebody who is curious about making decisions aligned with their intuition or like or being in deeper connection with their intuition, how does human design help them? Because we've been using the word energy.
Yeah, no, I love the question. I think that, I call the book How Do You Choose? Because I think so often we don't know how to choose. And we
Hmm.
can feel like paralysis around what to do next because we don't really know how to tap into our intuition or inner knowing. And I think human design, through a piece of it called authority, helps us know how to tap into our intuition, what
Hmm.
it looks like for each of us, how to actually know what's right for us and when. And so, there are some people like you that are meant to act on like those spontaneous, fast, quiet insights that you
Hmm.
get. Like for
Hmm.
you, and this is because you're splenic authority, like your intuition comes quietly, it comes quickly, it comes like without reason. It might be a voice, it might be
Mhm.
tingles, and like you're just like meant to become quiet enough to hear it and then
Mhm.
courageous enough to act on it. There are other people like me that like my truth comes over time. Like
Mhm.
I'm very excitable, I have immediate instincts, and then like I feel differently the next day. So
Mhm.
how I can like really assess what's true is like how do I feel about a decision over a couple days? What actually stays true over time?
Mhm.
Like where does my excitement grow? There are
Mhm.
some people that find their truth by kind of talking things out and just seeing how it feels to speak things aloud. Other
Mhm.
people have to give themselves a full month. So we all have different ways of kind of accessing our knowing, but human design helps us do it in a way that is really reliable for us. So I'm
Mhm.
curious, like as somebody for you in your design who's meant to make decisions very quickly and instantaneously based on your intuition, like have you found that to be true?
Oh, that was life-changing to me. The rest
Yeah.
and the decision making was life-changing to me because I was pretty sure that this is what was happening, that this was my intuition and this is how it spoke to me and this was my thing. But I was very confused if everybody else felt it that way. And I really needed the verbiage. I really needed, not needed, but like it really gave me this deeper, deeper, like, that's it. Like when I heard it described, and I think that's the thing too, with any of these concepts that feel like, oh, they're too out there or it's not resonating, like find the thing that is resonating and go there. And if not, take what works and leave the rest. But when I heard the splenic authority described, I was like, nothing could have felt more true about what my experience had been my whole
Wow.
life, but nobody had ever explained that to me. And I was about halfway through, maybe a little less than halfway through my journey that I'm on now of like rediscovering who I am and like coming home to myself. And I just knew that intuition was a piece of it that I had been just like playing with for years. But I was like, there's this thing though, like this is how it speaks to me. And it's quick and it's like a knowing. And it's, my friend
Mhm.
talks, calls it the know and go. And I don't know that that's how everybody's experiencing it. So yeah, it gave me huge just I felt it and I was like, and now we're just gonna live our lives this way. I mean,
Wow.
I just live my life that way. And that's why for
Yeah.
my daughter, I'm like, don't forget, you're gonna know it, you're gonna know it right away. How does it feel? What does it look, do you hear it? And you're gonna go. And that's not how everybody's gonna hear it, but that's how you are
Hmm.
meant to hear it. And for my other daughter who's emotional, I'm learning about that. And but now that I watch it, I'm like, okay, don't forget, it's okay. You're always gonna feel like a little high about something, a little low. You're gonna like ride this wave and then come back. So take your time and like let's revisit it in a little bit. And just I think having that named
Oh my
for somebody
God.
who's trying so hard to align her own life and her kids' lives, her family's lives, her clients' lives to align with their inner knowing, I just felt like
Yeah.
that between energy and intuition. I'm like, there you have it. Go out and conquer your life. Like you'll be
I,
fine.
well, it's so funny you say that because I think one of the hardest parts of writing this book was choosing what to include. I wrote
Yeah, I
150
can
pages
imagine.
that were not included in the book. And that was heartbreaking. And also like I had to like sit back and think like, okay, what are the pieces of your design that if you know that, that alone
Yeah.
can transform your life and everything
Yes.
else is helpful in addition and
Hmm.
not less important, but different. And like I think to your point, like when you know how to honor your energy rhythms, when you know how to create opportunities in the most aligned way, and when you know how to tap into your intuition and know what's right, like you kind of have the full package. Like
Totally.
everything else will just deepen and make it easier. But
Yes.
like when you have those three things like locked in, you just are flowing in a way that feels very authentic and like finding your way to the right things, saying yes to them at the right time, working on them in a sustainable way. So like
Hmm.
those pieces just alone can totally
Hmm.
change your life.
Yeah, it's enough. It's
It's
really,
enough.
it's enough. And it's more than enough, really. And it's so much more. I think if for anybody listening who feels a little discouraged, maybe because they're like, I don't resonate, or just know like you have enough, you have everything you need right here in this book, and you just make
Mm,
small, simple changes. You start with either your energy or your intuition, or Erin obviously gives all the frameworks in the book,
yeah,
and it's enough to really just radically transform your life and
totally.
align it in a way that makes you feel good, so that your life can
Yes.
actually feel good, not just look
Yes.
good, which is what I'm after. So.
100%.
Yeah. Ugh, Erin, I just really want to acknowledge you for, yeah, as an entrepreneur, I'm just like really, I really see you and I'm really just moved by how much you're doing that is also aligned with your purpose. And I know it probably
Mm,
feels like, I think it feels like a lot right now. And also the
yeah.
work is potent. It's very potent and has transformed my life. And I hope that your book and your work in the world continues to transform the lives of other women who are coming home to their inner knowing, their energy, their
Mm,
intuition, their your vitality. Yeah, so thank you so much for your time. And how can people keep in touch and work with you and explore their own human design?
Yeah, so one, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
If you guys want the book, you can get it anywhere books are sold. It is called How Do You Choose? A Human Design Guide to What's Best for You at Work and Love and in Life. My website's humandesignblueprint.com. We also sell custom guides, personalized your design and chart there. And you can use the discount code Phoenix. And on Instagram, I'm at Erin Claire Jones and Human Design Blueprint. And also that discount code will also actually apply to our course if you're just like, give me all the things I want to learn it
Mm,
all. It's a great place for that.
amazing. We'll put all that in the show notes. Do it, guys. You got to do it. Okay. Thank you again for your time. It's been lovely, and I will see you soon.